Hi viewers, welcome back once again to my channel. Last day we discussed how statements can be converted into passive voice. So today what you're going to discuss is how interrogative sentence can be converted into passive voice. Okay, if you take a question, okay, if you just analyze the sentence structure of a question, it is comprised of mainly four parts. First one is question word, then comes auxiliary verb, then subject, after that verb. For example, if we ask you a question like this, what are you doing? Okay, what is the question word, are is the auxiliary verb, you is the subject, doing is the verb. If the remaining part of the sentence is there, that also can be used at the end. So this is the structure of a question, isn't it? In the case of passive voice too, you have to follow the same structure, that is question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb, then the remaining part of the sentence. Okay, the same structure you have to follow in the case of passive voice also when you convert an interrogative sentence into passive. Okay, let's see how is it. Okay, consider the sentence, when did you write this letter? Okay, a format is this: question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. Okay, here you need, first of all what you need is to get the object of the sentence. When did you write this letter? So this letter is the object here. Okay, so let it be like that, let it be there, this letter, that's subject. Then we have to go to the question format, that is question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. So question verb is here, okay, that is when. Okay, so you can write that when. Next comes auxiliary verb. Okay, here is an auxiliary verb already given, that is did. But you wait, did we will consider actually which is the correct auxiliary verb that you need to use here. Okay, see, take the verb write. Did plus write means, you know, that is wrote. So the verb is not in its present form, actually it is in its past form. Okay, did plus write means wrote, so the verb here that is given is in its past form. Okay, so you know the passive voice rules, that is if the verb is in its past form, then you know, you have to use was or were plus V3, was or were plus V3. So was or were only you could use, not did. You understood why we are not taking the straight this auxiliary, why are not taking it? Okay, so you have to consider the verb. You have to find out whether it is in its present form or in its past form or perfect, whatever it is. Okay, then only we could give the auxiliary. Here did plus write means wrote, so the verb is in its past form, so that was or were plus V3. So when, okay, was or were, see, this letter is the object and this that come as the subject of the passive. So this letter, so along with this letter, what you will use? Was or were? Was. This letter is singular, so that was. Okay, when was, subject is this letter, object would come, subject of passive voice, you know. So when was this letter, then V3 form of the verb, written. When was this letter written by you? Okay, so let's see, we clearly follow the question format. Okay, the criterion what we followed or not, let's see. Here it is question word, Here you have the auxiliary. Here you have the subject. Then comes verb. Okay. So we satisfy the rule. That is it. Now consider this sentence. How did you do this sum? Okay. This sum is the object. So that we would use as the subject in the passive voice. Okay. That is it. We got the object this sum. So as I told you, we have to follow the question format. Question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. Question word is here already. So how? Question word. Auxiliary verb, as I told you straight away, cannot use the auxiliary that is given. Okay. So did plus do. Did plus do means did. Did means that is in the past form. Here the verb is given in present form. But did plus do means, here is did. Did means that denotes the given verb is in its past form. Whenever you get this did in the sentence, okay, that you have to understand that the given sentence is in the past form. So you know that if the verb is in the past form, you have to use was or were plus V3, not did. You cannot take it directly here. So you have to consider the verb. Verb is in its past form. Okay, in its past form. So that was or were plus V3. This sum is the subject, This sum will come as the subject here. So that along with this sum, what you will use? Was or were? Was. So how was, then comes the subject. This object will come as the subject here. How was this sum V3 form of due, that is done? How was the sum done by you? Okay. So let's see whether we follow the question format. Okay. Question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. We followed it. Okay. So that is it. Move to the next example. Who wrote this letter? This letter is the object of the sentence. Okay. Who wrote this letter? This letter is the object. Next, we need to follow the question format. That is question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. Okay. Who is the given question word here? But when we convert it into passive, it will come like this: by who. Okay. By whom. Okay. Now see wrote. Wrote means past tense. Past tense means, in the passive it would come, you have to write was or were plus V3. That format you have to follow. Was or were plus V3. If the given verb is in its past form. Okay. So by whom, okay, was or were. This letter is our subject. Okay. So along with this letter was or were. So this is singular, so was. By whom was, then comes subject. This letter, by whom was this letter written? V3 form of the verb, written. See, let's see whether we have followed the question format. Okay. See, by whom is the question word. Was is the auxiliary verb. This letter is the subject. Okay. Object of active voice would be a subject of the passive voice. Okay. That is it. So question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. Next one. Shall we help her? Okay. Shall we help her? So her is the object. Okay, we got the object, that is her. Okay, next we have to follow, as I told you, the question format, just like question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. See, in the given sentence, there isn't any question word. That's the speciality of this sentence. Here isn't any question word. So this is actually an yes or no question, so that it's starting with an auxiliary verb. Okay, so it doesn't matter if the question word is not there, leave that part, then we will proceed with the next section, that is auxiliary verb onwards. Okay, so from auxiliary verb onwards we will start. So auxiliary verb is already here, that is shall. Since here isn't any question word, we omitted that and we just proceeded with the auxiliary verb, that is shall. So after auxiliary verb what comes? Subject. Okay, her. So when it comes here, shall, she. Okay, her will be converted to she. So shall, she. Okay, you know that when the modal auxiliary is just like a will, shall, would, could, may, might. Okay, so when these auxiliary verbs are there, along with that we have to use be, isn't it? Shall be, will be, must be, may be, like that. So that be is there. Okay, that should be used next. Okay, that is it. So shall she be. We cannot write shall be she, but instead of that, shall, next you have to write the subject, then you have to use be. Okay, so shall she be, then comes the third form of the verb, that is helped. Shall she be helped? Okay, by us. Shall she be helped by us? Okay, that is it. So here what was the difference is this. In the previous questions that we have dealt with, we had question words in it. In all of the questions, in all the examples, there we had question words, but here isn't any question word. So in that cases you have to start with the auxiliary verb. Okay, that is it. Next example. Can you ignore this mistake? So here, this mistake is the object. This mistake is the object. Then question format. Question word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. Here again, you don't have any question word, but this is starting with an auxiliary. So same way you can also start. Okay. If the question word is not there, you start with the auxiliary. Can, then subject. Okay, this mistake. Can this mistake, as I told you, will, would, shall, should, can, could, all this will follow be. Okay, so that can this mistake be, then comes V3 form of the verb. Ignored by you. Okay, that's it. So here auxiliary verb, subject and verb. The same way in this example also. Is she telling the truth? Okay, the truth is the object here. Okay. So here also, here again you don't have any question word, so that you will continue. You will just start with the auxiliary verb. Is. So we'll start with the auxiliary. Is. Then comes the subject. Is the truth. Okay. Then comes verb. See, progressive form of the verb is given. Telling. Ing form of the verb, you know, if the progressive form, the parts of the form of the verb is given, you know, you have to use being plus V3. The rule we studied earlier, isn't it? So that being plus V3. So is the truth being told by her? Okay. Auxiliary verb, subject, verb. Now here is a solved question for you. have the children eaten the cakes? Isn't it? So here you have the auxiliary verb have. Okay, have is the given auxiliary. Okay, next comes subject. Subject means, see, have the children eaten the cakes? The cakes is the object. The cakes is the object of the sentence. This object would come as the subject of the passive voice. So that here you got the object, subject also, the cakes. Okay, so auxiliary verb, subject. Next, as you know, according to our rule, if the perfect tense is there, that is has or have or had, any such auxiliaries are there, along with that, you know, it will follow been. Okay, so that's why have the cakes been. Have been the cakes. You cannot write like that, but you have to write have the cakes been. Okay. Then comes the V3 form of the verb, that is eaten. Okay. So auxiliary verb, subject, verb, and the remaining part of the sentence. Okay. So that is it. So in the case of interrogative sentences, what you need to take care of is this. You have to follow the question format. That is question, word, auxiliary verb, subject and verb. If in the given sentence there isn't any question word, you have to start with the auxiliary verb. Okay. In that case, the format is like this: auxiliary verb, subject and verb. So the lesson is not yet finished. The next class we will discuss how imperative sentence can be converted into passive voice. Okay, till then, bye bye.